Rebecca Harris pulled her travel bag through the airlock and felt the subtle shift in gravity as she entered Crossroads Haven. The station hummed with activity, hundreds of beings moving through the wide corridors like colorful fish in a vast aquarium. She had dreamed of this moment for months. A job among the stars. A chance to be part of something bigger than Earth. She made her way to the cargo bay where she would be working. The space stretched out before her. Massive containers stacked in neat rows, robotic arms moving in synchronized patterns. A group of workers stood near a control console, and Rebecca approached them with a smile. They turned to look at her. The smiles died on their alien faces. The first one to speak was tall and thin, easily 7 feet, but looking like he weighed less than Rebecca despite the height difference. His skin had a pale blue tint and his limbs seemed almost fragile. His name tag read Drell, Shift Supervisor. "You are the new human worker?" Drell asked, his voice carrying a note of disbelief. "Yes, sir. Rebecca Harris. Ready to start whenever you need me." Drell exchanged glances with the others. A four-armed creature with golden skin whispered something Rebecca could not quite hear. A bird-like being with brilliant green feathers took a small step backward. "Is there a problem?" Rebecca asked, her smile fading. No problem," Drell said quickly, but his eyes traveled up and down her body in a way that made Rebecca's skin crawl. "We simply were not expecting someone of your particular build." Rebecca stood 5 feet 8 inches tall. Back on Earth, she was an athlete. She lifted weights 4 times a week, ran marathons, hiked mountains on weekends. Her body was strong, solid, powerful. She had never been ashamed of it. But the way these aliens looked at her, she might as well have been diseased. "I can handle the work," Rebecca said, keeping her voice steady. "I passed all the physical requirements." Of course, Drell said, but he did not sound convinced. "Let me show you to your station." As they walked through the cargo bay, Rebecca noticed more stares. Workers stopped what they were doing to watch her pass. Some whispered. Others simply stared with open curiosity or poorly hidden disgust. Drell brought her to a workstation near the edge of the bay. "You will start here. Light duties. Inventory scanning mostly. We need to be careful not to overtax you." "Overtax me? I can handle heavy work. That's what I was hired for." "Perhaps on your world," Drell said carefully. "But here we must consider your condition." "My condition? Your excessive mass. It must be very difficult for you to move efficiently. We do not want to cause you injury." Rebecca stared at him. "You think I'm fat? I do not know this word. But clearly you are carrying far too much tissue. Is this common among humans? Is it a medical condition? We have treatments available if you wish to seek help." Heat flushed through Rebecca's face. She wanted to scream, to explain, to make them understand. But what could she say? That on Earth her body was normal? That she was actually fit and healthy? They would not believe her. "I'm fine," she said quietly. "Just show me what to do." The first shift was torture, not because of the work, which was almost insultingly simple, but because of the constant attention. Every time Rebecca moved, aliens watched. When she bent to pick up a scanner, she heard gasps. When she stood on a stepladder to reach a high shelf, someone actually called for a safety observer. During the lunch break, Rebecca sat alone in the cafeteria. She had brought food from Earth, knowing the station's menu would be designed for alien biology. As she unwrapped her sandwich, a Lanthy worker at the next table leaned over. "Should you be eating so much?" the alien asked, not unkindly. "Surely portion control would help your situation." Rebecca set down her sandwich. "There's nothing wrong with my portions." Of course. "I only meant to help. We have nutritionists on station if you need guidance." Rebecca stood and left, her appetite gone. She found the human quarters and locked herself inside. Her roommate, Dr. Alan Foster, was a xenobiologist who had been on the station for 6 months. He looked up from his computer as Rebecca entered. "Rough first day?" he asked. Rebecca threw herself onto her bunk. "They think I'm a freak. They think I'm sick or deformed or I don't even know what." Alan nodded sympathetically. "Yeah, I went through the same thing when I arrived." "It gets better." "Does it? How?" "They'll get used to you. Most of them have never seen a human in person before. We're weird to them." "Really weird. I'm not weird. I'm normal. I'm healthy." "You are," Alan agreed. "But normal is relative. Do you know what gravity is like on most collective worlds?" "Not really. About a third to half of Earth's. These aliens evolved on worlds where everything is lighter. They're built for low gravity. We're built for Earth." So what, I'm just supposed to accept being treated like a circus act? Alan smiled sadly. Or you could show them what humans are really capable of. But fair warning, that might scare them even more. Rebecca closed her eyes. She had wanted so badly to be part of the galactic community. She had imagined making friends, learning about other cultures, being accepted. Instead, she was alone in a metal box, surrounded by beings who saw her as nothing but excessive weight. Tomorrow would be another shift. More stares. More whispers. More pity. Rebecca decided she would endure it. She would do her job, keep her head down, and prove through quiet competence that she deserved to be here. She had no idea that everything would change in just a few days, that an accident would force her to reveal what humans truly were, that the beings who mocked her weight would soon learn exactly what Earth's crushing gravity had built her to do. But tonight, she simply lay in the dark and tried not to cry. 3 days had passed since Rebecca started work at Crossroads Haven, and each day felt longer than the last. She sat in the station's observation lounge watching the stars drift by when Alan found her. "Hiding again?" he asked, settling into the chair beside her. "Taking a break," Rebecca corrected, though they both knew the truth. The cargo bay had become suffocating. Every shift brought new indignities. Alan pulled out his tablet. "I want to show you something. Maybe it will help." He brought up a comparative chart. "This is Earth," he said, pointing to a blue sphere. "Gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. Now look at these." He scrolled through images of other worlds, beautiful planets in shades of purple, orange, green. Each had a number beside it. Lanther, Drell's homeworld. Gravity is 4.2. The Quailoth homeworld is 5.1. Risha, where those bird-like workers come from, is only 3.8. Rebecca studied the numbers. So Earth's gravity is more than twice what they're used to? At minimum, yes. For some species, it's 3 times as strong. Do you understand what that means? That we're heavier? That you're stronger. Much, much stronger. Alan pulled up another image, this time showing skeletal structures. Look at a lanthe bone compared to a human bone. Theirs is hollow, light, perfect for their world. Ours is dense, solid, built to support our weight under constant crushing pressure. He switched to muscle diagrams. Same thing. Their muscles move light bodies in low gravity. Your muscles move a heavy body in high gravity. You're not carrying excessive tissue, Rebecca. You're carrying the exact amount of tissue needed to survive on Earth. Rebecca looked down at her arms, her legs, her body that she had always been proud of until 3 days ago. So when they see me, they're seeing someone who looks impossibly heavy to them. Exactly. Imagine if you went to a world with twice Earth's gravity. Everyone there would look incredibly dense and muscular to you. That's what you look like to them. But I'm not trying to be intimidating. I'm just existing. I know, Alan said gently. But existing as a human in a low-gravity galaxy is automatically intimidating. We can't help it. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Has anyone ever tested how strong we actually are compared to them? Officially. No, humans have been part of the collective for 23 years, but we're still rare. Most aliens have never met one of us. They know the facts intellectually, but they don't really understand what those facts mean. Maybe they should. Alan gave her a worried look. What are you thinking? Nothing. Just tired of being treated like I'm disabled. She left the observation lounge and headed back to her quarters. Along the way, she passed through one of the station's commercial districts. Shops lined both sides of the corridor, selling everything from food to technology to cultural artifacts. A commotion caught her attention. A Quailoth shopkeeper was arguing with a Risha customer. The disagreement seemed to be about a payment, voices rising in anger. Then the Quailoth shoved the Risha. It was not a hard shove by human standards, just an angry push. But the Risha, light and delicate, stumbled backward and crashed into a display. The shopkeeper immediately looked horrified. Other Risha rushed to help their fallen companion. Station security arrived within seconds. Rebecca watched the whole thing with new understanding. That shove would barely have moved a human. It might not even have been noticed. But here, with beings built for gentler worlds, it was an act of real violence. If a simple push could do that, what could she do? The thought was not comforting. It was terrifying. Back in the cargo bay the next day, Rebecca was assigned to help inventory a new shipment. Crates of various sizes needed to be scanned and logged. Drell paired her with a young lanthe named Oren. Oren was nervous around Rebecca, but trying to hide it. They worked in awkward silence for a while before Rebecca finally spoke. You don't have to be afraid of me. Oren jumped slightly. I am not afraid. You keep moving away whenever I get close. The young alien's blue skin flushed darker. I apologize. It is just that you are very large and I have heard stories. What kind of stories? That humans are very strong. That your world is a dangerous place. That you can hurt people without meaning to. Rebecca set down her scanner. I would never hurt you, Oren. I believe you. But what if you tripped and fell on me? Or bumped into me too hard? I am not built like you. It was said without malice, just honest fear, and Rebecca could not even argue. He was right. She could hurt him without meaning to. The realization made her feel like a monster. I'll be careful, she promised quietly. They worked in silence after that. During lunch, Rebecca sat alone again. She pulled out her tablet and started looking at Earth videos, clips of people doing normal things, walking, running, playing sports, carrying groceries. Every action that seemed simple on Earth would be superhuman here. May I sit? Rebecca looked up to find Drell standing beside her table. She gestured to the empty seat, surprised. Drell sat carefully as if approaching something dangerous. I owe you an apology. For what? For my behavior when you arrived. I made assumptions about your health based on your appearance. Dr. Foster has been educating me about Earth and human physiology. I understand now that I was ignorant. Rebecca waited, not sure where this was going. But understanding does not make the situation less complicated, Drell continued. You are very different from us, Rebecca Harris. Your strength, your density, your build, it is unsettling to many of the crew. I can't change what I am. I am not asking you to. I am simply explaining why integration is difficult. We evolved on different worlds under different conditions. What is normal for you is extreme for us. And what is normal for us must seem impossibly fragile to you. You're not fragile, Rebecca said, though she was not sure she believed it. Compared to you, we absolutely are. Drell leaned forward. There is an event coming up. The annual Dock Games. Teams compete in various cargo handling challenges. It is meant to be fun, to build cooperation. Okay. I would like you to participate. With your team. Rebecca blinked. Really? Yes. I think it would be good for the crew to see you working alongside them. To normalize your presence. Will you agree? Rebecca thought about it. A chance to prove herself. A chance to show she was part of the team, but also a chance to fail publicly. To confirm every fear the aliens had about her. Yes, she said finally. I'll do it. Drell nodded and stood. Excellent. Training begins tomorrow. Please be gentle with the equipment. After he left, Rebecca sat alone with her thoughts. She had agreed to the games without really knowing what they would involve. Without knowing if her strength would be an advantage or a liability. Without knowing that in just a few days an accident would make the games seem trivial. That she would be forced to show the entire station exactly what a human could do. That the beings who feared her would learn their fears were both completely justified and completely wrong. But for now, she finished her lunch and went back to work. Just another day in a place where she would never quite fit in. The dock games began on a morning that felt like any other. Workers gathered in the main cargo bay, which had been cleared and marked with colorful lines for different events. Rebecca stood with her team, 5 aliens who still looked uncomfortable around her but were at least trying to be polite. Drell addressed the gathered crowd. Welcome to the 32nd Annual Dock Games. Remember, this is about teamwork and skill, not just speed. Let us have a fair and safe competition. The first event was zero-gravity cargo navigation. Teams had to guide a container through an obstacle course in the station's cargo practice area, where artificial gravity had been shut off. Rebecca had trained for this. She knew the basics of moving in zero gravity, but she had never really tested herself. Her team went third. The container floated in the center of the chamber, held by magnetic clamps until the buzzer. When it sounded, Oren released the clamps and the container drifted free. Rebecca pushed off from the wall, flying toward the container. On Earth, every movement meant fighting gravity. Here, with gravity gone, her body became something else entirely. She moved with perfect control, using tiny pushes to adjust her trajectory. Her muscles, so used to constant resistance, found zero-gravity movement almost effortless. She reached the container and gave it a careful push. The mass that would have been crushing on Earth was nearly weightless here. She guided it through the first turn, then the second. Her teammates followed, helping adjust the trajectory. But Rebecca did most of the work. They finished in third place. Not first, but respectable, the crowd murmured. Rebecca heard fragments of conversation. Did you see how fast she moved? I thought the weight would slow her down in 0G. Maybe we underestimated. The second event was equipment assembly. Teams had to build a cargo scanner from parts, testing both technical knowledge and coordination. Rebecca had studied the manuals, but so had everyone else. Her team finished fourth. Solid, but nothing special. The aliens seemed to relax. The first event had been a fluke. The human was competent but not exceptional. Rebecca could see it in their faces, hear it in their voices. They had been worried for nothing. During the break between events, Rebecca walked to the observation window. She could see ships docking and departing, a constant flow of traffic. Alan approached and handed her a water bottle. You're doing great, he said. I'm doing okay. Not great. You proved you can compete. That's more than they expected. Rebecca took a drink. Do you ever miss Earth? Real gravity? Feeling like your body makes sense? Every day. But this is where the work is. Where we can make a difference. A loud alarm cut through the air. Not the normal buzzer of the games. This was sharp, urgent. Emergency. The cargo bay erupted into motion. Workers ran toward the source of the sound. Rebecca and Alan followed. In the loading section, a massive cargo container hung at an angle from a malfunctioning crane. The magnetic clamps had failed and only one support cable held the container in place. Below it, 3 Risha workers stood frozen in fear. The container weighed 2,000 kilograms. In the station's 0.4 gravity, that was 800 kilograms of effective weight. Still enormous. Still deadly if it fell. Station personnel shouted orders. Someone was calling for emergency equipment. Someone else was trying to evacuate the Risha workers. But they were trapped behind a pile of smaller crates that had fallen when the crane malfunctioned. The cable groaned. It was going to snap, Rebecca did not think. She just moved. She ran toward the container, her feet pounding against the deck. Aliens scattered out of her way. She could hear Alan shouting her name, but it did not matter. The cable snapped. The container fell. Rebecca slid into position under it, her legs braced, her arms up. 2,000 kilograms of mass, 800 kilograms of weight falling directly at her. On Earth, she could deadlift 200 kilograms. Squat 180. These were good numbers, strong numbers, but nowhere near 800 kilograms. But this was not Earth. The container hit her arms. Her legs bent. Her muscles screamed. But her body, built for Earth's crushing gravity, held. She did not catch it cleanly. The impact drove her down to one knee. The weight was staggering even in low gravity, but she stopped it. She redirected it. She kept it from crushing the Risha workers. With a roar of effort, Rebecca pushed up and to the side. The container tilted, slid off her arms, and crashed to the deck beside her instead of on top of the trapped workers. Silence filled the cargo bay. Rebecca knelt on the deck, breathing hard, her arms shaking. Slowly she stood. Every alien in the bay stared at her, not with disgust or pity or fear, with shock. Pure absolute shock. Drell was the first to move. He rushed to the Risha workers, helping them out from behind the fallen crates. They were unharmed, just terrified. Alan reached Rebecca. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Rebecca flexed her arms. They were sore, would definitely bruise, but nothing was broken. I'm fine. You just caught 800 kilograms. I didn't catch it. I just stopped it from falling on them. Rebecca, no one here could do that. No one. She looked around the bay. Dozens of faces stared back. Some looked grateful. Some looked afraid. Some looked like they were seeing her for the first time. Drell approached slowly. How did you do that? I don't know. I just reacted. Are you enhanced? Cybernetics? Exosuit? No, I'm just human. Just human, Drell repeated like he was tasting the words and finding them strange. On my world, what you did would be impossible. The strongest Lanthy could not move such weight. On my world, people train to move heavy things all the time. It's normal. But it was not normal here. Rebecca could see that in every face around her. Security arrived, asking questions. Medical personnel checked Rebecca and the Risha workers. Station administrators appeared, demanding to review footage and assess damage. Through it all, Rebecca stood quietly and answered questions. Yes, she was uninjured. No, she did not have enhancements. Yes, she would fill out an incident report. When the officials finally left, the other dock workers remained. They stood in small groups, whispering, glancing at Rebecca. One of the Risha workers she had saved approached. He was small, barely coming up to Rebecca's chest, his green feathers ruffled from stress. "You saved my life," he said quietly. "I just did what anyone would do." "No, what anyone would want to do. Only you could actually do it." He bowed deeply. "Thank you." Rebecca nodded, not sure what to say. The games were canceled for the day. Everyone was too shaken. Rebecca returned to her quarters, exhausted. Alan followed her. "You know everything's changed now, right?" "What do you mean?" "They saw what you are. What humans are. That's not something they'll forget." Rebecca looked at her hands. Strong hands. Human hands. "Is that good or bad?" "I don't know yet," Alan admitted. "But it's definitely not the same." That night, Rebecca lay in her bunk and thought about the container falling, the weight of it, the fear in those Risha eyes. She had not tried to be a hero. She had just seen people in danger and reacted. But now she was something different to the station. Not just the heavy human, not just the strange being from the high-gravity world. She was dangerous, powerful, strong enough to do impossible things, and she had no idea what would come next. Word spread fast in a closed environment like Crossroads Haven. By the next morning, every being on the station had heard about the human who caught a falling container. The story grew with each telling. Some said she lifted it overhead. Others claimed she threw it aside like a toy. A few swore she was wearing powered armor. Rebecca wished they would all just forget it happened. She walked to the cargo bay for her shift and felt the change immediately. Aliens stepped aside when she approached. Some nodded respectfully. Others looked away, uncomfortable. A few stared with open fascination. Drell met her at the entrance. "Station administration wants to speak with you." "Am I in trouble?" "No, they want to understand what happened. What humans are capable of. Dr. Foster is already there." The meeting took place in a conference room with large windows overlooking the station's central hub. 5 administrators from different species sat around a table. Alan was there too, along with a Quiloth medical officer named Senna. The lead administrator, a Lanthi named Director Cora, gestured for Rebecca to sit. "Thank you for coming, Rebecca Harris. We have reviewed the footage of yesterday's incident multiple times." Rebecca sat. The chair creaked under her weight, and she saw several administrators glance at each other. "We want to be clear," Cora continued. "You are not accused of any wrongdoing. You saved lives. We are grateful, but we are also concerned." "Concerned about what?" "About safety. About integration. About what your capabilities mean for the station." Cora pulled up a hologram showing Rebecca catching the container. "According to our calculations, that container had an effective weight of 800 kilograms in station gravity. Our strongest workers can lift perhaps 100 kilograms. You stopped 8 times that amount." "I didn't lift it. I just stopped it from falling." "Even so, the force required is extraordinary. Dr. Foster has been explaining human evolution to us, but seeing it demonstrated is quite different from hearing about it." Alan leaned forward. "Director, if I may, what Rebecca did was impressive, yes, but it's not outside the normal range of human capability. On Earth, trained athletes can perform similar feats." Senna, the medical officer, spoke up. "I have examined the human physiological data. Your bone density is remarkable. Your muscle composition is significantly different from collective species. You are essentially built like living tanks." "We're just built for Earth," Rebecca said. "We're not trying to be intimidating." "Intention does not matter when discussing safety," Cora replied. "We need to understand the risks. If a human were to become violent, could station security stop them?" The question hung in the air. Rebecca felt her stomach tighten. "Are you asking if I'm dangerous?" "We are asking if humans in general pose a unique security risk." Alan stood. "This is ridiculous. Rebecca saved lives. Now you're treating her like a threat?" "We are treating her like an unknown factor," Cora said calmly. "In 23 years of human membership in the collective, there have been fewer than 1,000 humans at any given time spread across dozens of stations and worlds. We have very little data on human integration into mixed populations. This station has never had a human worker before. We must be cautious, so what do you want?" Rebecca asked. "Restrictions? Monitoring. We want a demonstration. Under controlled conditions, so we can properly assess human capabilities and establish appropriate safety protocols." Rebecca looked at Alan. He shook his head slightly, but she ignored him. "Fine, I'll do it. The demonstration was scheduled for 3 days later, giving station scientists time to prepare tests and monitoring equipment. In those 3 days, Rebecca became a celebrity. Some workers approached her with respect, thanking her for saving the Risha workers. Others kept their distance, fear evident in their eyes. A few asked her questions about Earth, about human strength, about what it was like living under such terrible gravity. Oren, the young Lanthy, sought her out during a break. "Is it true you can lift 10 times your own weight?" "No, maybe half my weight if I train really hard." "But you stopped the container." "That was different, huh?" "That was adrenaline and leverage and luck. I couldn't do it again if I tried." Oren looked disappointed. "Oh, people are saying humans are incredibly strong. We are strong compared to you. But we're not superhuman. We're just adapted to a heavy world. What is Earth like? Is it really as dangerous as they say?" Rebecca thought about home. Blue skies, mountains, oceans. It's beautiful. But yes, it's heavy. Everything pulls you down all the time. You learn to live with it. I would be crushed there. Probably. Just like I feel too strong here. It's all relative. The day of the demonstration arrived. The station's main gymnasium had been converted into a testing facility. Medical equipment lined the walls. Cameras recorded everything. Observers filled the viewing gallery above. Rebecca wore simple exercise clothes. Alan had helped her plan what to demonstrate. Nothing too extreme. Nothing that would terrify people more than necessary. Director Cora addressed the crowd. "Today we will observe human physical capabilities under controlled conditions. Rebecca Harris has volunteered to demonstrate typical human strength and endurance. All safety protocols are in place. The first test was simple lifting. Weights were provided, increasing in mass. Rebecca started with 50 kilograms, easy even in station gravity. Then 100, 150. 200. At 200 kilograms, she struggled. Her muscles burned. But she completed the lift, the crowd murmured. 200 kilograms was more than 2 Lanthy could lift together. Next came endurance. How long could she hold a heavy weight? How many times could she lift her own body weight? How fast could she move while carrying cargo? For each test, Rebecca performed normally by human standards. But to the watching aliens, each feat seemed impossible. The final test was unplanned. Director Cora had arranged for a cargo handling scenario, similar to what Rebecca would do in her daily work. Move containers, stack crates, operate equipment. Rebecca went through the motions, trying to work at a normal pace. But what was normal for her was lightning fast to them. She lifted crates they needed machines for. She moved containers that would require 3 workers for other species. When it was over, she stood sweating and tired in the center of the gym. The observers were silent. Senna, the medical officer, approached with a scanner. "Your heart rate is elevated, but not dangerously so. Your muscle tissue shows normal strain. You are not injured. I told you. This is normal for me." "Normal," Senna repeated. "Yes, I see that now." Director Cora descended from the observation deck. "Thank you, Rebecca Harris. This has been very informative. So what happens now? Do I get restricted? Monitored? That will be discussed. But I think we all understand better now what humans are, what you are." That night, Rebecca sat with Alan in the observation lounge. "They're afraid of me. Some of them, yes. I didn't ask to be strong. I didn't ask to be built like this. I know. But you are, and now they know it too. Is it always going to be like this? Being seen as dangerous?" Alan sighed. "I don't know, maybe. Or maybe they'll learn to see past the strength to who you actually are." "Who am I?" "Someone who saves people. Someone who uses her strength to help, not hurt. That should matter." "Should," Rebecca said. "But does it?" She stared out at the stars, feeling more alone than ever. She had proven she was strong. She had demonstrated human capabilities. But had she made anything better or just confirmed their worst fears? The answer would come sooner than she expected, because in 2 days an emergency would arise that would test not just her strength, but her character. That would force the station to decide once and for all whether humans were dangerous predators or valuable allies. But tonight, she just watched the stars and wondered if she would ever truly belong. The debate about human integration had been raging for 2 days. Rebecca heard about it in fragments, conversations that stopped when she walked by, worried glances from co-workers. The station council was meeting to discuss new protocols, possibly restrictions on human workers. Alan tried to reassure her. They're just scared. Give them time. But time was something Rebecca did not have. She was doing inventory in a quiet section of the cargo bay when she heard raised voices. Following the sound, she found a group gathered around a Quilith merchant named Ven. He was standing on a crate, speaking passionately to anyone who would listen. We welcomed humans into the collective with open arms, Ven declared. We believed they would integrate peacefully. But look at what we have learned. They are built like weapons, strong enough to kill us with ease. That's not fair, someone in the crowd protested. The human saved lives, this time, yes. But what about next time? What happens when a human loses control? When they get angry? We cannot fight them. We cannot stop them. We are helpless. Rebecca wanted to walk away, to ignore the words, but she stood frozen, listening. I propose restrictions, Ven continued. Humans should be limited in where they can work, what they can access. We need protection. Protection from what? Rebecca found herself speaking, stepping forward. I've never heard anyone here. The crowd parted and Ven turned to face her. Not yet. But you could. At any moment. That is the problem. So you want to punish me for something I haven't done? For what I might do? I want to protect my people. Is that so wrong? Before Rebecca could answer, the station alarm blared. Not the emergency alert from before. This was different. Structural damage warning. Everyone's communicators lit up with the same message. Habitat Ring 7, Section C. Critical support failure. Evacuation in progress, Rebecca ran. She did not think about the debate or Ven's words or anything except the fact that people were in danger. Alan caught up with her halfway there. What are you doing? He panted. Helping. This isn't your responsibility. People are in trouble. That makes it my responsibility. They reached Section C to find chaos. The habitat ring was a residential area, and the evacuation was not going smoothly. Workers struggled to move debris, blocking the main exit. Inside, someone was screaming. Drell was coordinating the rescue. He saw Rebecca and hesitated, then waved her over. There are 3 people trapped inside. 2 adults and a child. The main support beam is failing. We have maybe 10 minutes before the whole section collapses. What's blocking them? The beam itself. It fell across their living unit. We cannot lift it. How heavy? 800 kilograms in station gravity, the same weight as the cargo container. Rebecca felt her heart race. I can do it. Rebecca, if you fail, if the section collapses while you are inside, then you evacuate everyone else and seal the section. But I'm not failing. She did not wait for permission. She grabbed a respirator in case of air loss and entered the damaged section. The corridor was a mess. Twisted metal, sparking wires, the acrid smell of burned plastic. She followed the sound of crying to a residential unit at the end of the hall. The support beam had fallen diagonally, crushing the doorway and part of the wall. Through the gaps, Rebecca could see 3 Risha huddled in the corner. 2 adults were shielding a small child between them. I'm here to help, Rebecca called. I'm going to lift the beam. When I do, you run. Understand? The human? One of the adults called back. You cannot lift this. I lifted one just like it 3 days ago. Trust me. She positioned herself under the beam, finding the best angle. The metal was still warm from whatever had caused the failure. She could hear the structure groaning around her, feel the subtle vibrations of imminent collapse. Rebecca took 3 deep breaths. On Earth, she used to train with a powerlifting coach. He always said the same thing. The weight doesn't care how you feel. You either lift it or you don't. She lifted, her legs drove upward. Her back straightened. The beam rose inch by inch, 800 kilograms of mass trying to crush her down, and her body fighting back with everything it had. Go, she shouted. Now! The Risha family scrambled out, the adults carrying their child. They squeezed past Rebecca and ran for the exit. Rebecca held the beam. 5 seconds. 10. Making sure they had time to get clear. Then she let it drop and ran. The section collapsed behind her, a thunderous crash of metal and composite. Rebecca made it through the sealed door just as it closed. Automatic protocol sealing off the damaged area. She collapsed to her knees, gasping for air. Drell and Alan were there immediately. Are you hurt? Alan demanded. No, tired. They get out? Yes, the family is safe. You saved them. Rebecca looked up to see the 3 Risha being checked by medical personnel. The child was crying, but they were alive, whole, safe. Then she saw the crowd. Dozens of station workers had gathered watching. Among them was Ven, the merchant who had been calling for restrictions on humans. Their eyes met. Ven's face was complicated, a mixture of gratitude and fear and confusion. Director Cora pushed through the crowd. "Rebecca Harris, that was incredibly reckless. People were dying. You could have died. The section could have collapsed while you were inside. But it didn't." Cora stared at her for a long moment. "No, it did not. Because you are strong enough to do what none of us could do." The Risha father approached, still shaking. "You saved my family. My daughter." Tears streamed down his face. "How can I thank you?" "You don't have to thank me. I just did what anyone would do." "No, what anyone would want to do. Only you could actually do it." It was almost exactly what the other Risha had said days ago. Rebecca was starting to understand that this was the truth. She could do things others could not. The question was what that meant. Ben stepped forward. The crowd went quiet. "I have been calling for restrictions on humans," he said. "I have been saying they are dangerous, that we need protection." Rebecca braced herself for whatever came next. "I was right," Ven continued. "Humans are dangerous. They are strong enough to hurt us easily, strong enough to kill us if they chose." "Ven," Cora started, but the merchant held up a hand. "But I was also wrong, because danger is not the same as threat. A tool is dangerous. Fire is dangerous. Strength is dangerous. But danger can be used to protect as easily as to harm, and this human has chosen protection. Twice now." He turned to face Rebecca directly. "I apologize for my fear. I allowed what you could do to blind me to who you are." Rebecca did not know what to say. Around her the crowd murmured. Some nodding. Others still uncertain. A young Lanthy voice called out, "If humans are so strong, can they teach us? Can we learn from them?" Alan smiled. "Humans can't make you as strong as us. Your biology is different, but we can teach you about leverage, about technique, about using what strength you have efficiently. We can share what we know." "That seems acceptable," Director Cora said. "Rebecca Harris, the council will meet tonight. I cannot promise what they will decide. But I think today has shown us that strength without character is dangerous, but strength with character is invaluable." The crowd began to disperse. The Risha family was taken to medical for observation. Emergency crews began assessing the damage to Section C. Rebecca sat against the wall, exhausted. Alan sat beside her. "You know you're going to be a legend now, right?" he said. "I don't want to be a legend. I just want to work." "Too late for that. You've saved lives twice, shown them what humans can do. You're a symbol now whether you like it or not." "A symbol of what?" "That being different doesn't mean being dangerous. That strength can be gentle. That humans belong here as much as anyone else." Rebecca thought about that. About the fear in alien eyes and the gratitude. About being too strong for this world but strong enough to protect it. "What happens at the council meeting?" she asked. "We'll find out tonight. But I think you've made your case better than any words could." The sun was setting on the planet below, visible through the station windows. Rebecca watched the light fade and wondered what tomorrow would bring. Acceptance or rejection, integration or isolation. She had done everything she could. The rest was up to them. The council chamber was packed. Every seat in the observation gallery was filled, and more people crowded outside watching through view screens. Rebecca sat at a small table facing the 7 council members, feeling very alone despite Alan's presence beside her. Director Cora called the session to order. "We are here to determine policy regarding human integration into Crossroads Haven, and by extension, to provide recommendations for the collective at large." Rebecca Harris has been asked to answer questions and provide testimony. A Quiloth counselor named Mara spoke first. "Rebecca Harris, in the past week you have demonstrated physical capabilities far beyond what most of us believed possible. This has raised concerns about safety and integration. Do you understand why people are afraid?" Rebecca took a breath. She had practiced this with Alan. "Stay calm. Be honest. Yes, I understand. You evolved on lighter worlds. Your bodies are different from mine. What seems normal to me seems impossible to you. That's frightening. Yet you continue to use your strength openly. Some see this as aggressive. I've used my strength twice, both times to save lives. I'm not trying to intimidate anyone. I'm just trying to help." Another counselor, a Lanthy named Torvin, leaned forward. "But you could hurt people. If you became angry, if you lost control." "I could," Rebecca admitted. Just like anyone could hurt anyone else if they chose to. I'm stronger than you, yes, but that doesn't mean I want to hurt you. How can we trust that? How can I trust that you won't hurt me? I'm stronger, but I'm still vulnerable. I still need air, food, safety. I'm not invincible. I'm just human. Ven, who had been granted permission to speak, stood. May I address the council? Cora nodded. 3 days ago I called for restrictions on humans. I said they were dangerous. I was speaking from fear. Ven looked at Rebecca. But fear is not a good foundation for policy. This human saved my colleague's family. She risked her life when she could have walked away. That is not the action of a predator. That is the action of someone who cares. One individual does not represent an entire species, Counselor Mara countered.
How do we know all humans are like Rebecca Harris?
Alan stood. May I speak to that? Dr. Foster, you may proceed. Humans have been part of the collective for 23 years. In that time, how many violent incidents have involved humans as aggressors? Cora consulted her datapad. According to collective security records, there have been 7 violent incidents involving humans. In 5 of those cases, humans were defending themselves or others. In one case, it was determined to be accidental. In one case, the human was found to have acted with excessive force and was punished according to collective law. 7 incidents in 23 years, Alan repeated, with fewer than 1,000 humans in the collective at any given time. Compare that to the violence statistics for any other species. We are not more violent. We are just more visible when we are. Because you are more dangerous when you are violent, Torvin said. A Lanthy with a weapon is just as dangerous as a human with bare hands. Alan countered. Shall we restrict all Lanthy from carrying tools? Should we fear everyone based on what they might do? The council members looked at each other. Quiet discussions began. Director Cora raised her hand for silence. The question before us is not whether to expel humans or restrict them harshly. The question is how to integrate them safely while respecting their nature and their rights. She turned to Rebecca. What do you want, Rebecca Harris? If you could design the policy yourself, what would it be? Rebecca had not expected this. She thought for a moment. I want to be treated like everyone else. I want to work. I want to make friends. I want to live without being seen as a monster or a freak, but I also understand I'm different. I'm stronger. I need to be aware of that. Maybe there should be training. Not just for humans, but for everyone, so we all understand each other better. Training how? Teach aliens about human capabilities and limitations. Teach humans about how fragile other species are, how to be careful. Make it normal to talk about our differences instead of pretending they don't exist. Counselor Mara nodded slowly. That is a reasonable suggestion. I would also like to offer something, Rebecca continued. I could teach classes. About leverage, about moving heavy objects safely, about strength training. Not to make you as strong as humans, but to help you use what strength you have more efficiently. Alan says humans have learned a lot about this. Maybe we could share that knowledge. You would teach us? Torvin sounded skeptical. If you want to learn. I'm not saying you need to be like me. I'm saying maybe we can learn from each other. The council discussed among themselves for several minutes. Rebecca could not hear what they were saying, but she watched their faces. Some looked convinced, others still worried. Finally, Cora spoke. The council will now vote on the following resolution. Humans will be permitted to work and live on Crossroads Haven without special restrictions, provided they complete cultural integration training designed to promote mutual understanding. Additionally, Rebecca Harris will be appointed as human liaison, responsible for education programs and conflict mediation. All in favor? 5 hands rose. After a moment, the 6th and 7th followed. The resolution passes unanimously. Rebecca felt something release in her chest. Not quite relief, not quite joy, but something. However, Cora continued, this is a trial period. We will revisit this policy in 6 months. Rebecca Harris, you will be expected to demonstrate that human integration can work. Do you accept this responsibility? Yes, I accept. Then this session is adjourned. The gallery erupted in conversation. Some aliens looked pleased, others uncertain. But no one looked at Rebecca with quite the same fear as before. Outside the council chamber, Drell found her. Human liaison. That is quite a title. I'm not sure I deserve it. You saved lives twice. You showed us what humans are capable of, both in strength and in character. If anyone deserves it, you do. Orin approached shyly. Does this mean you will teach classes? I would like to learn. Yes, I'll teach anyone who wants to learn. Even if we can never be as strong as you. Rebecca smiled. Strength isn't everything, Oren. You're fast, flexible, good with details. Those are strengths too. Maybe we can teach each other. Over the next few weeks, Rebecca began her new role. She taught classes on proper lifting techniques, on leverage and physics, on how to move heavy objects safely. Aliens attended out of curiosity at first, then genuine interest. She also attended classes herself, learning about different species' cultures, their physical limitations, their perspectives. She learned that Lanthe communicated partially through posture, that Quailoth had 4 times as many taste receptors as humans, that Risha could see ultraviolet light. Every species had strengths. Every species had limitations. Humans were not special, just different. The station gym became a meeting place. Rebecca would work out with weights that aliens could barely move, while nearby, a Lanthe might practice the graceful zero-gravity movements that Rebecca found difficult. Everyone marveled at everyone else. One evening, 3 months after the council meeting, Rebecca stood in the observation lounge looking at Earth. Alan joined her. How does it feel, he asked. Being the face of human integration? Terrifying, exciting, important. You've changed things here. Humans are applying to work on the station now. They want to come because they heard there's a place where they belong. Do they belong? Do I? Do any of us really belong anywhere except where we choose to make our place? Alan gestured at the station around them. Look at this place. Dozens of species living together, working together. None of us evolved for space stations. None of us belong here naturally, but we make it work. Rebecca thought about her first day. The stares, the whispers, the assumption that she was sick or wrong. How far they had all come since then. You know what's funny? She said. They mocked my weight, treated me like I was disabled. Now they're asking me to teach them about strength. That's not funny. That's growth. Is it enough? Will there always be fear? Probably some fear, yes. But also respect. Also friendship. Also understanding. You can't eliminate fear entirely, but you can give people reasons to trust despite their fear. A group of workers entered the lounge. Lanthe, Quailoth, Risha, and 2 new human arrivals who had just transferred to the station. They were laughing together, sharing stories. One of the Risha saw Rebecca and waved. Are you teaching tomorrow? I want to bring my partner. Yes, same time as always. Excellent. They think they can lift more than me. I need to prove them wrong. The group moved on, still laughing. Rebecca watched them go. It's going to be okay, isn't it? She said quietly. It's going to be better than okay, Alan replied. It's going to be exactly what the collective is supposed to be. Different beings learning to live together. And you helped make that happen. Rebecca looked down at her hands. Strong hands. Human hands. Built for a heavy world but useful anywhere there were people who needed help. She thought about the cargo container she had caught, the beam she had lifted, the lives she had saved. But she also thought about the classes she taught, the friendships she was building, the understanding that grew a little more each day. Strength was not just about lifting heavy things. It was about choosing to help when you could walk away, about being gentle when you had the power to be destructive, about building bridges instead of walls. They had mocked her weight. They had feared her strength. But now they saw her as she truly was. Not a monster, not a freak, not a weapon. Just Rebecca, a human doing her best in a galaxy that was slowly learning to make room for her kind. She smiled and headed to her quarters. Tomorrow there would be classes to teach. Work to do, a place to earn and keep. Tomorrow and all the days after she would show them that humans belonged among the stars, not despite their strength but because of how they chose to use it. The girl from the heavy world had found her place in the light.